haven't thought about it, talked about it as a couple, you're going to have issues. You know, at one point in your time together, one of you is going to have an issue.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we know this statistically. We know this because biologically it happens.
Mm-hmm.
You know, just getting older. So, and you're going to see how much we have to talk about here. Okay, we'll start out with guys because, you know, guys get to go first in this. And as you can see by treatment, guys always get to go first. So we'll start with the number one thing, and you see commercials for it all the time: erectile dysfunction. This is extremely common. This is not an uncommon thing. And now guys, of course, are like, oh, I've never had that. Bullshit. You've had it.
Yes.
At least once in your lifetime, you have had an issue with either getting an erection or maintaining the erection.
Mm-hmm.
Now, that's all erectile dysfunction is. Now,
I will say that I have.
okay.
I will be.
And
it's happened.
It's happened, and
Right.
that was, I mean, actually when you were really young,
Mm-hmm.
and that was completely stress-induced.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Stress.
It's a lot of it. A lot of these things
Yes.
are, you know, psychologically,
Stress-induced.
yes.
Right. So erectile dysfunction. So you could either have a medical cause for it, a physical cause, or a psychological cause.
Right.
Psychological, obviously, stress.
Mm-hmm.
If you are under the gun, if you are saying, you know, like, okay, I got 10 minutes to do this, and I got 10 minutes to,
And I bet it must be good.
yeah, arouse, and rock her world or his world, whoever's world you're rocking. And then I got to be done and go do something else. Your head's not in the game. So you need to relax. And of course, this is what's going to happen. And the problem with erectile dysfunction, and specifically psychological causes, is that it's self-perpetuating. Every single time that you have a problem compounds with the next time you have a problem, and over, and then next becomes something stressful and horrible, and you don't want to do this. So, and because people don't talk about these things, what ends up happening is that the couple will start getting angry with each other. She's feeling, okay, I can't excite him. He's feeling, oh, I can't satisfy her. So they're both in this like terrible resentment and guilt thing. And what happens is that communication breaks down. And ultimately you can end up breaking up from this. You know, it's very possible that he'll go off and cheat because of this. Because when he finds that he can maintain, you know, have an erection with somebody else, then the original partner becomes the problem. It's because of her. I didn't have a problem. She had a problem. So, okay, that's really scary, isn't it?
Sorry, we got little graphs and things,
Yeah.
and we just wandered into red.
Yes, your CPU usage. You didn't have like 1,000 things open. Not today,
all
huh?
kinds of stuff.
Okay, so that's the psychological thing. And now just regular medical things. As we get older, we have medical issues. You know, one being, hold on. Get off the couch, Ricky! Sorry. I'm trying to work on that. So, medical issues. As you get older, blood pressure, diabetes, all of these have direct effect on erections. In fact, the reason why we started talking about it is because someone who's, you know, a friend of ours, you know, confided in me about an issue that her and her partner were having, and she said, you know, write about this. This is an important thing. Now they've been able to work it out. You know, I don't know to what end. I mean, I think that more can be done. Okay, but you know, that's my humble opinion as a psychotherapist for over 25 years.
That's it. Beyond that, you have no...
Completely humble on that one.
You have no input.
I have no input. The problem with all erectile dysfunction things, even if it's a medical thing, post-surgery, like if you have prostate issues, post-surgery, 85% of the people with prostate who have prostate surgery or treatment lose erection. And that's a serious issue. If you look at the rise in prostate cancer over the last 20 years, you're talking about a good chunk of men out there who are still vital enough to be having sex who can't. Okay? And
now, do you think that that's a permanent physiological thing?
Physiologically, it is because they damage a lot of nerves.
Okay.
When they do the surgery or the treatments, it's specifically if you're doing like radiation treatment and things like that. Yeah. Wow. Is it because of sex? I know. Is it? Yes. Okay. Well, that's what I'm asking. This is a really touchy subject. This is why, foundationally, we always stress start the dialogue early. But obviously, you're not in that situation. You're already past that. You need to discuss things. You need to talk. You need to take the pressure off of him regarding sex at all. In fact, you need to say it's off the table for a long time.
That is one of the things the therapists do.
The first thing that, as I've worked with lots of couples like this. The first thing I always tell couples, stop having sex. Don't even try.
Right.
Don't even think about it. Don't go to bed if it's too much of an issue, sleep in separate beds.
Which, oddly enough, fixes the situation in
a lot of cases. Because the moment that any kind of authority figure says, don't do it, then it becomes a challenge to do it.
Right.
That's number one, but don't.
But it also takes the pressure off. So it's like, oh, well, if it doesn't work, that's fine.
If both of you are having issues sexually, now, male sexual dysfunction is one thing, female sexual dysfunction is quite another thing. Female sexual dysfunction, like a good 50% of it is psychological. And because of that, any kind of trauma, molestation, and when we think about molestation, we have such a very limited view of what that is. Even growing up in a highly sexually charged family is enough to cause, sexual dysfunction. Okay? You need to have counseling. You need to repair yourself. And maybe if you take the step to go and repair yourself and heal yourself, then that'll give him the impetus to do the same thing. We, as human beings, we wrap ourselves up in these facades. One of the facades is, especially for men, macho man. And the macho man is ready to go and ready to please 24/7. The moment the guy can't do that, the moment that the man has any kind of issue with pleasing, it rocks him to his core. Okay? As women with these men, we feel like we need to fix them. And and then there's somewhere in there too that we start bubbling up with this idea of maybe I just don't turn him on. And then when we start thinking like that, then we start falling apart too. Because our facade, woman facade is supposed to be that we are the Madonna whore. We're supposed to be this wonderful, lady in the parlor, but we're supposed to be the temptress and the tigress in the bedroom.
And it's tough when you have to do both the nurturing and the
seducing. At the same time. And that's the thing. You need to turn off the whore. She can't be there. You just need to be nurturing and just say, you know what? I don't want to deal with this now. It's not about the sex for me. I want you to feel good about yourself. And especially if you have your own issues, you need to say, listen, I'm taking a timeout. Because you can't be having sex when you're dealing with your sexual trauma.
Right.
It just doesn't work. Because you just keep re-traumatizing yourself. And that's what women don't get. And men don't get that either. If men have been traumatized sexually, they keep re-traumatizing themselves every time they have sex. and they don't understand. Oh, that one was good, and then that one was not so good, and then worse and worse and worse. You don't get it. Anything, a smell, especially smells, throw you back into whatever trauma started in the first place. So, stop.
And a little side note, guys really have a big problem with even identifying that they've been traumatized.
Right, exactly. I mean, I know I've worked with so many, and yeah, you see, I'm really not a sexual person. That's because you've been sexually traumatized. We're all sexual beings.
Mm-hmm.
That's what we were made for. You think that there's an accident as to where things are positioned?
Right.
No, we are all sexual beings.
Mm-hmm.
When women say to me, "Oh, I'm not really into sex," it's because they've been traumatized.
Yeah, when you boil it right down to our cave people roots, our only job is to have sex and eat.
Right.
I mean,
yeah. There's no. I mean, and I'm not talking. I mean, and we've talked about sexual addiction here. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about just normal, healthy adult life. Healthy adult life involves sex.
Right.
Period.
Mm-hmm.
When you talk about like a healthy adult, there's going to be relationship. There's going to be things that get you going outside the house, like your career. You're self-actualizing yourself. Your self-esteem is built up by having good friendships and acquaintances, and then under all that, and then there's also that little part of you that wants to have a legacy. So you want to have kids, or you want to leave your mark on the world, whether through your work or whatever. And then there's that part right here, that sexual part, the part of you that gets nurtured because of satisfaction and pleasure. And it's not a hedonistic thing. It is actually a biological thing. And it relaxes you. It reduces your blood pressure. It fixes your blood sugar levels. Sex is a good thing. Sex is a really good thing for you. Okay? You sleep better after sex. There's no magic to this. It's because you're supposed to be doing it. But we don't look at it that way. We look at it as something like a conquest. We look at it as a chore. It's not. It's a pleasure. Enjoy it. It's like having a piece of cake. Every once in a while, great, fantastic, have a piece of cake. Well, honey, that's the thing. You need to deal with you first, then.
Right.
If he's not in the position to listen, you need to deal with yourself. And that is the bottom line. You can't go into a relationship 50%. If you are broken, and I use that word very specifically, if something in your past broke you from giving yourself 100%, then you need to go and get yourself some healing, some counseling, some whatever it is that's going to make you feel better. When it comes to sexual trauma, counseling, hypnotherapy is the number one thing that I'm going to recommend to anybody. Hypnotherapy is like getting laser treatment. You go straight to the issue, you deal with that issue, and you will start feeling better within 5 to 6 sessions. Whereas regular talk therapy might take twice as much time. If you go into a psychiatrist, you're going to get medicated, and the medication might dampen the sexual desire even more. So,
yeah, see, you're talking about actual childhood abuse.
Mm-hmm.
So right now, there's no way for you to put down boundaries.
You
don't know where they are.
Right. You can't nurture him because you don't like him. There's a sliver of you that doesn't like him and can't like him because he is re-traumatizing you. Mm-hmm. So you need go out, get some therapy. If it's like Lee at coupledom.com. Email me, tell me where you live. I can recommend some good therapists. Mm-hmm. Lee at coupledom.com. Do it, and I will be happy to help you out. Just give me what city you live in, and I can tell you some good professionals there.
And speaking of then we can also go into female sexual dysfunction.
Yeah, well, there's also more stuff, I mean, but,
Oh, God.
yeah, there's also premature ejaculation that we haven't talked about, which is a sexual dysfunction. If a man doesn't, oh, I'm sorry, I'm gonna get comfortable now. Different setup. The couch was so much more comfortable.
Yeah, I know.
Female sexual dysfunction, male sexual dysfunction also includes premature ejaculation. Premature ejaculation, how long do you think a normal male lasts?
I don't know. I know that, I'm probably below normal.
No. A normal male, if you can hold up 2 minutes before ejaculating, you're fine. Oh, you're good to go. Oh, you're fine.
Wow.
This one big city needs to
I'm a rock star.
Exactly. So, 30 seconds. If you can't hold out for more than 30 seconds, you have premature ejaculation. And premature ejaculation, there's a lot of treatment for that. But once again, you have the psychological issues involved with that. The more you premature ejaculate, the more you think you're gonna, and then that becomes obviously the issue.
Right.
Honey, you really need to go see some counseling. You're confounding things. You love him, you want to be near him, he's pushing you away. This is going to bring up all your trauma stuff. So you really need to go get some counseling. This is a bad, I want to sound as if they had these problems from the start. Yeah, well, no, Caesar, this is exactly the thing. We're going to digress a little bit here, and I'm going to get into my little therapist mode. We have what we call levels of differentiation. As we grow up, we learn to be independent and live outside of our family system and all that good stuff. What it boils down to, when we talk layman's speech and not in the techie speech, it's, damage looks for damage, okay? If I have daddy issues, and I'm going to look for a man who has control issues. So I have my daddy issues met in a sick way, and he has his control issues met in a sick way. And we look for each other in, like puzzle pieces, and then you'll try on some guys or some girls, and that doesn't quite fit until you find his dysfunction meets your dysfunction and it works. Okay? Most couples get together like that. And it doesn't have to be a really bad dysfunction. It could also just be, you have similar backgrounds. But the idea is that through communication, through your own, encouragement to heal in one way or another, and encouragement to be a better person for one or the other, you're supposed to grow out of this crap. Okay? If the damage is too much, all it does is make you even sicker. That's the problem. At one point, and I say this all the time, you need to be your priority, not your relationship. Because you can't go into your relationship broken. If you go into a relationship completely broken, and you just keep getting more broken as you're in your relationship, what's the purpose? The purpose is to be happy. Are you happy? Help me out. Are you happy? Is the question. I think the answer is no, because anxiety is not happy. Last time I checked, 50% happy is not happy. It's kind of like, 50%
sad.
Exactly. You're talking about happiness is something that you could generally look at your life and go, God, I'm really happy. I've got everything pretty much handled. You know, I mean, and it takes a lot of courage to go for the happy.
Mm-hmm.
Because life doesn't, I mean, the world and society doesn't really want you to be. Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's definitely sex out of obligation.
Yeah, and it's like, you know, what's the purpose of getting engaged and married to someone that, and you're not able to give yourself like that? See, that, back to, you know, the society stuff is like, you know, oh, you know, getting married and all that good stuff. I mean, we've been married almost 23 years now. I never thought I'd be getting married as young as I did. You know, that was not in the cards for me. I just happened to fall in love and found my happy. Okay?
Me, in case anybody.
Yeah. So, the idea of, but, you know, the reason why it's worked is because he's never let me give up on happy. And I've never let him give up on happy. Okay? And that's an individual thing. Okay. And I will say it again. You need to go to counseling.
That's you trying to work through things.
Yeah, it's like you're trying to hold together this mess of stuff.
Right.
You know, you've got your past and your present all enmeshed up here right now, and you're trying to hold it all together. That's the anxiety. When you're trying to hold shit together, that's the anxiety. You need to seek out counseling. You need to let go of the childhood things. And I'm not saying forget about it. You need to let it go.
Right.
And letting go is very different. Letting go is a choice. Letting go is like, okay, you look at it, you see for what it is.
You embrace it.
You embrace it as something that made you who you are.
Right.
You take responsibility for how you're going to deal with it.
Mm-hmm.
Ouch.
And then from there.
You know, a lot of people get really f***ed up when I say things like you take responsibility for your molestation.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying take any blame. I'm saying you're responsible for how you deal with this for the rest of your life.
Right.
If you choose to be a victim over and over and over again, which you are, okay, then that's your choice. But if you choose to take responsibility, that means you're going to go out there and get some help and get some healing and get some you know, good insight as to who you are.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's the point of going to counseling.
And oddly enough, you're also going to find the power in it.
That's all you're going to find.
Yes.
The moment that you say, you know what, this happened to me.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and I'm saying this from my point of view because it happened to me. This happened to me. And you know what? Thank you for letting this happen to me. But because of this, I had to work really hard at being open and honest with my sexuality, with who I am, because then I'm able to overcome the shitty thing that happened to me a long time ago. I was an innocent child, and that was stolen from me. But I'm not going to let it steal from me when I'm 46. I'm 45 now. I keep saying that. I keep saying I'm 46. What the hell's wrong with it?
Soon enough.
I know, soon enough.
Yeah, we'll catch up.
Yeah. Anyway, so I want to get through a lot of stuff.
Okay.
So, but please, let me,
Yeah.
Lee at coupledom.com. And I'm not saying this as a joke. Go ahead and email me. Yeah, you know, honey, the thing is, you wish you were at my stage. I've been in therapy for a long ass time. This doesn't come, you know, you can't get drive-through therapy. You can. That's not true. You can. You can get really good drive-through therapy. But the work takes a long time. The work takes a long time. Okay? Because you have to process it. And the thing is that it comes up on you and it sneaks up on you. And let's say that I'm flying for years and then something happens, you know, something happens and then, oh shit, I'm back into this shit again. So you need to keep working on it. It's a constant process. No problem. So, okay, so for men, the treatment. Okay, did you know that Viagra treats 75% of all erectile dysfunction?
No idea.
75%.
That's pretty good.
That is like Viagra, Levitra, Cialis. All of them have basically the same numbers. Okay, and the other 25%, are either extreme physical problems or psychological issues. A man needs to be pretty clear when he wants to get aroused. It's so. I mean, but the thing is that of course, the problem comes from the other 25%. Men can do direct injection into their penis. Now, of course, this sounds, for those of you who, it's out, but it works. They have the pumps. They have vacuums. There are a lot of things that help men. In fact, the medical establishment thinks that 90-something%, it's like 98-point-something% of all male sexual dysfunction is treatable.
Wow.
Pretty amazing. And then the other, like 2% or something like that, are the men who have serious damage.
Sure, yeah.
To the breathing. That doesn't mean that you can't have sex in a deeper way. Okay? There's so much more you can do. And with communication, that's always the key. You get back down to that, that's always the key. So, of course, with Viagra and things like that, you have the side effects. So yeah, it could be 75% effective, but a man with blood pressure. Bye, sweetie. Take care. With if you're taking Viagra, you know that the side effects are blood pressure stuff. And if you have blood pressure or heart disease issues, you can't be taking that all the time. Okay. So, talked about that. Premature ejaculation. I'm not even going to go through that anymore. They have delayed ejaculation. There are several men out there, several being more, a few percentage points out there, who have delayed ejaculation, who basically can't ejaculate for a long time, and it becomes very painful. So, there's all sorts of different things. That's why you have to go seek a medical professional.
Yeah, that sounds like something like a porn star would want to have.
Well, no, because it becomes very painful. Why would they want to have it?
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's another thing, people. Porn is okay.
Yeah, well, that's true. That's a whole different.
For a guy to be going, I don't know about you girls, but for a guy to be going, 15 minutes, I'd be chafed. That's ridiculous. I don't take that one. That's what good therapy does for you. Anyway, female sexual dysfunction. Let's get to us now.
Okay.
Okay, good. But is there a good therapist there, or are you just going to group counseling? Not that group counseling is a problem. Depends on who's leading the group. And I mean like an actual counselor and an actually good counselor who's leading a good group therapy.
Okay, so female.
Okay, so female sexual dysfunction is broken down into 4 categories, which I will read to you now. Because low sexual desire, sexual arousal disorder, orgasmic disorder, or sexual pain disorder. And we're going to talk about the pain first, because that seems to be what most women complain about when they actually complain. See, this is the funny part. Women don't complain. Women would rather sit there and suffer. And that's the part that makes it really stupid.
That is a major
Ladies,
socialization.
We are told to shut the f up and just deal with it and suffer. You are not going to tell your best friend, hey, last night I was having sex with my husband and it was so painful, I started crying, blah, blah, blah. You're not. Because we're taught to shut up. We're taught that this is not a good thing to do. That's gross. Why would you talk about that? Now, we're willing to, women can get really raunchy. If you have a really good set of friends, you can get really raunchy. At the same time, if you have a really good set of friends, you could actually talk about these things. And they're going to tell you, go to the doctor.
Right.
Okay, painful sex. Dyspareunia. Now, I remember learning about dyspareunia, when I was in college a million years ago. And I was like, what a messed up word for sexual pain. But more women than you think suffer pain every single time. And it's either surface pain, like on the outside, which could be caused by an infection. Hell, I don't know if you had a baby, those of you who are watching who've had babies, your first few times out the gate after you have a baby, it's uncomfortable. Your child just shifted everything around down there, and it's going to be uncomfortable. And now what happens is that sometimes when we give birth, things shift to the point that they remain uncomfortable. Okay? You slip discs every time. What the hell? Victoria Beckham, when she had her last kid as a C-section, no less, she didn't even push. She slipped a disc, and she couldn't stand straight or hold her kid for 3 months.
Wow.
That's with a C-section. Imagine if you're pushing for a few hours. So, be aware of that. So, problems that we don't even think about. Insufficient lubrication.
Mm-hmm.
Ladies, as you get older, you will not lubricate as much as you do as when you were younger. And for some reason, we have this idea that, we have to pretend to be young. On both parts.
Yeah.
Okay?
Uh-huh.
And there's nothing wrong with keeping a bottle of KY next to the bed. And using a lot of it. And, there is no backlash from using too much lubrication. It's fine. It's better for both of you. So, lubricate. Other problems, vaginismus. Vaginismus is a physical disorder that could be caused by a psychological disorder. Vaginismus is a spasm in the vagina, which causes extremely painful sex. You spasm, it could hurt him because you spasm so much that you could clamp down on the penis. And it's like having the worst cramping in the world, but worse. Okay? And that actually requires medical attention.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't seek medical attention, you'll never have sex again. Because it's just that painful. Okay? Also, if you've had any kind of surgery, whether it's like for an ovarian cyst, if you had a hysterectomy, endometriosis, things like endometriosis causes extremely painful sex too. Any kind of surgery where you have scar tissue can cause sex. Can cause pain on the brain. Infections, yeast infections, even a yeast infection can cause pain. See, there's so many things. Those are easily treatable things.
Mm-hmm.
You go, you take care of your monostat, whatever, you take care of it, problem solved. Lubrication, problem solved. It's the emotional stuff.
Yeah. Almost all of these have the emotional components.
Right.
When we're talking about lubrication, for example,
Right.
that's directly emotional in most cases.
No. Lubrication is a physical issue. As we get older, we have less estrogen. Less less lubrication.
Yes. But if you're not comfortable with the act, then you're not.
Right, arousal. So then we're going to go to
right.
the arousal stuff, which is arousal is 90% psychological. The other 10% is probably hormonal. And the hormonal issues could be from perimenopause, menopause, could also be from a hysterectomy, could be cancer treatment, messes with your hormones a lot. In fact, in a few weeks we're going to have a couple on the show who talk about sex after cancer treatment. I know, you're wondering, why would you have that? I read about them, I'm reading their book, and it's something that we need to deal with. So many couples are going through. I mean, as you get older, one of you is going to go through a cancer treatment. Maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe not all of you. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
One of you may have to do that.
I mean, just looking at the statistics, that heart disease and cancer are the two, leading diseases that people will have. The odds are that one of those two are going to happen in your relationship, and which means that one of those two are going to affect your sex life.
Right.
I mean, those are
those are the catastrophic ones.
Yeah.
But the simple ones, blood pressure, diabetes. I mean, they sound horrible, heart disease. But these are things that, as we get older, it's they're almost inevitable. We're going to have blood pressure issues. If we have blood pressure issues, how is that going to how's the medication going to affect the sexual desire of a woman, the sexual arousal of a man? See, desire is the number one problem that a woman will have, because stress. I mean, the moment that there's any kind of stress in a woman's life, sexual desire goes up. And that is, strictly speaking, our enculturation. Men, on the contrary, when they get stressed, they want to have more sex. Because that's how they're enculturated.
Right.
That's how society has taught them. Sex will make them feel that. And they're more right than the women.
But it does also
that's also
sex addiction
wait,
formula.
Yes. But the problem comes with the women. We're okay. Society has taught us these are the certain things that we have to do as women. We need to. In the old days, we needed to take care of the home, raise the kids, take care of everything. That's what we did. Now, we need to be able to be fulfilled not only in the home, but we also need to have some sort of vibrant career. So, a lot of women, because it's okay by society standard, the moment they have kids, they can really turn off that horrible part of themselves. It's like they're allowed to. And the more I look at and read all these like mom blog kind of things, and I'm I'm part of a lot of groups, and you see that there's a very big distinction about women who basically given up on that part of their life and women who haven't. It's almost like the haves and the have-nots, and I think that is indicative to what society is like. It's like, as women, we're allowed to just stop being sexual after we have kids. It's almost as if, and the thing is that our husbands are okay with that. That they're okay with, well, of course,
Yeah.
I mean, you have the kids, and so the idea of having you be all sexy and stuff, oh, you poor thing. Or that's kind of gross because you're a mom now. And what ends up happening is that if you want to look at why it is that the divorce rate is what it is, when people start divorcing, when you look at the jump, because if you don't divorce within the first 5 years, then your next stressor is going to be around 10 to 15 years. And then the next stressor is going to be around 20 years when your kids leave the house. Okay? This is statistical. This is not just me just blowing smoke here. I'm telling you, this is statistical. How many couples break up the moment their kids leave the house?
Yeah,
You see, at that point, mommy doesn't have an excuse anymore. Daddy wants to have his partner back. She's not there anymore because she left a long time ago. And since they never talked about it, and this is all part of sexual dysfunction. The moment she starts giving up on that part of her life, that wedge of her existence, of her being a human being, and that lets the rest of it take over.
See, remember, whether right or wrong, we've linked all kinds of stuff to sex. sex is intimacy. Sex is love. Sex is relationship.
You make
sex
love.
Is, okay, we've all kinds
If you stop having sex and you consider sex making love, so think about it. If you are a couple, if you're a married couple, and you stop having sex, and you think that making love only is when you're penetrating, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Then what are you actually saying? You don't have love anymore.
Right. If sex is intimacy,
then you have no more intimacy.
Yeah.
That's messed up. You know, this is you know, your typical, and God forbid you talk about any of this shit, because, you know, so then all of these couples, so then, oh yeah, we have sex every now and then. You know, healthy married couple, married over 10 years, twice a week. You know, whenever I've had interns, you know, as a therapist, one of the cool things that you get to do is you get to like mentor, and you have your interns, and you know, you teach them. You know, they know the theories, but then you got to teach them the ropes, and the ropes are kind of the ins and outs. How do you get the most information in a short period of time? Okay, you can't leave a client. You can't let a client leave the first session without giving them something, because then they won't come back. Okay? And I'm not talking about money. I'm talking about, you know, once you sit there and you listen to somebody's story, you become invested in it too. So you know you can help them, so you want them to come back. Okay?
But you also know that the moment they leave, they're going to get afraid and all that kind
right.
of stuff. So
or they're going to talk to some asshole on the street,
right.
like a friend saying, "Oh, you don't need that."
So they'll find all kinds of reasons not to
right.
come back.
So you need to give them. You need to give them something. Right. So how do you get the most information? If it's a couple, the first thing I'm asking them: how often do you have sex? Mm-hmm. Unnerves the hell out of them. Unnerves them, because they want to bitch about, she doesn't love me anymore, or he doesn't treat me right, or he doesn't call me, or blah, blah, blah. I want to talk about that shit. I want to get to, how often do you have sex? Okay? If they tell me it's not even once a week, they have a serious problem. And we've talked about this on the show many times. When you're rehabbing a relationship, you need to look at this. Okay? Why is it that a couple would stop having sex? Feels good, not much of an investment of money, not even time, really. You know, because even when couples say, "Oh no, we're just so busy." Seriously, how long do you take to have sex? Mm-hmm. Let's be honest here. You know, you're not having sex for an hour. Mm-hmm. If you are, then are you filming this, or what the hell?
It doesn't take a whole lot of planning. The tech work is very low.
Very low. You know, the lighting, you know, the costumes and shit like that. If you're just having normal married sex, it shouldn't take you more than a few minutes. You know all the parts. You know who you're dealing with. You should know how to get him off, and he should know how to get you off.
If your kids are so up your ass that you can't find, you know, the 10 minutes, I mean, you know,
that's washing time too.
Yeah, right. Yeah, you can't find them. Then you've got some issues with your boundaries with your kids.
Exactly. So anybody who tells, "Oh, you know, haven't been in," now you tell me, "I just had a baby."
Yeah,
I got you. See, one of the things that, you know, okay, I got the time. This is an important issue, ladies. Pay attention. Postpartum depression is not something that just goes away by itself, or that is, you know, or is something that just, I mean, hormonally, we are affected from having a child 2 years. 2 years. That's a big deal. And we think, you know, and there's, depression doesn't have to look like, you know, standing on a ledge. Depression can also be something we call dysthymia, which is this low level of depression. This meh feeling for a long time. And that meh feeling is more insidious than having a major depression, because we don't do anything about meh. MEH?
Not mad.
Dysthymia or
He gets the
meh?
yeah.
Gosh, now you caught me.
D-Y?
Yeah, it's just DYS. DYS. I don't know.
11%, yes.
Okay, TH, obviously. Or with another Y. Because you could be dysthymic. And when we have dysthymia, so many people suffer from dysthymia and never get any kind of treatment.
Right.
The moment they get any kind of treatment, it's like someone opened up the shades.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, the bluebirds are singing. It is the most miraculous thing. And ladies, if you are dysthymic, which is common, if you've had children, if you've gone through trauma, dysthymia is very common. Get treatment. And that's going to involve some medication for some time and some counseling. Because what ends up happening is when we're dysthymic, we kind of think that's part of our personality.
See, that's a big difference between men and women.
Yeah, I mean,
women go towards dysthymia, men go towards.
Yeah, men are more dramatic and they'll go through the major depression. Women will suffer with dysthymia their whole life, and you will see. Look at pictures of yourself, and that will show you if you have an issue. If your smile doesn't reach your eyes, okay. If your smile is this in every single picture that you have, okay, you are probably dyslexic. And I'm giving you information that we don't really talk about. And this is, but this is so important. In terms of sexual dysfunction, dysthymia for women, that's like number one.
Yep.
I mean, I have actually a close relative of mine. The moment that I learned about dysthymia 20-something years ago in school, I knew she was dysthymia. This is my favorite person in my family. And I'm like, okay, what to do? And it took a couple of years ago some problems in her marriage for her to get some treatment. She's a different person.
Yeah.
Now, once you get treatment, that doesn't mean that you're not going to fall back into it. Dysthymia becomes almost like a personality. And that's the problem with it. The people are like, oh, that's the way she is. Yeah. Just because you're not putting a razor to your wrist. Yeah. Just because you're not putting a razor to your wrist doesn't mean you're not depressed. Okay? So, let's look at that.
About 5 minutes.
Is that wrong? I don't know.
You're talking about 5 minutes.
Anyway, so the treatment for women, okay, for sexual arousal, things like that. One, de-stress. Okay? One of the things that I would recommend, but not always, a glass of wine. Wine is like this. I mean, I'll never forget. My sister had lots of back problems. And I remember going to an orthopedic surgeon with her. She's had like 2 back surgeries. So I'm at the orthopedic surgeon. The surgeon's giving her some sort of, pain medication or whatever for her back. And I don't think it was pain medication, but it was something like that. And he told her to take it with a glass of wine. And we're like, no. And he goes, wine directly affects the muscles in your lower back. Now, if you think about it for sex, that would be a very handy thing to have. One, it makes you a little fuzzy, which is good, and 2, it'll relax you in the region you need to be relaxed. Stop thinking about stuff. Okay?
Yeah, it's actually also a good symbol, if you will. It's a good routine for you of, hey, I'm going to...
Me time.
Right, it's me time. I'm going to enjoy this.
And that's the thing. When you're having sex, both men and women, it is your time.
Right.
It's all well and good that you're there for your partner's orgasm, but be there for your orgasm first. That sounds really shitty, doesn't it? Mm-hmm. But it's not. You have to take care of yourself. The reason why some men have delayed ejaculation issues is because they're so busy trying to give her, her orgasm, and that's exhausting, dude. Take care of yourself too. Another thing, hormones. Now, there's a lot of controversy about this because
Ricky, get out of here.
More hormones.
Now.
You have a higher risk of cancer when you're doing hormone replacement therapy, things like that. This is why they invent things like topical hormones. And when we talk about estrogen, we're talking about estrogen down there, and actually like using creams and injections down there of estrogen. It's like what Suzanne Summers does. Also, one of the treatments that they use for women is androgen hormones, which is that they're giving women actual male hormones and testosterone to increase their arousal, their desire. Controversial. It really depends on how much you're willing to invest. I would say probably safer to go to counseling. Just me, I don't know. And especially if you've had any kind of sexual abuse. Now, if we go by the statistics, 1 in 4 women have been sexually abused. Go to treatment.
Yeah.
Go get some treatment right now. 1 in 4.
Right.
Okay, there's 28 viewers right now. If some of you are women, do the math. Okay? Some of you have been sexually abused. Maybe all of you have been sexually abused. Whether it's in childhood or older, go and get some treatment.
Because that's not a glass of wine, you're fixed in the situation.
Go now.
Get like 2 minutes.
Okay.
Something like that.
Next week, I don't think we're going to have a show. We're going to be in conference. Well, he's not going to be there, so. Anyway.
We'll see.
We're not going to have a show.
Oh, okay.
Because I said so.
So I have 2 weeks ahead of technology.
Yes, that would be a good thing.
Even better. Okay.
Yeah, that would be a helpful thing too. So yeah, next week we're not going to have a show. The week after that, we're going to be coming back strong. We're going to be talking about how the internet has affected society.
Oh, yes.
Once again, how does this have anything to do with relationships? Oh, our triple genie. I never even talked about that. It was good. I mean, I think it left me kind of weird because she got weird towards the end. So, I don't know right now.
I thought she was being very dreamy.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's like, you think that, that our little Asperger girl is all grown up and stuff, but then again, she's not. So it was good. I mean, it was fun being there, but, still have some things to work out. And I think a lot of it had to do with, she's so independent now.
Yeah.
I think that I'm affected by that.
Yep.
So thank you for watching. We'll see you in 2 weeks. Good show today. Good show. And if you need any friends to watch this too, come back to Mingle Media and you can watch it on repeat later on, either today or down the week or whatever. Or you can see us on Facebook at Relationship Rehab. Look up Relationship Rehab, and then you'll see it there too. And then where else? On our website, coupledom.com. You should be there too.